about 3 different types of levels in this game: platforming, boss fights, and driving or sliding. Usually the format goes in the order of platforming to driving or sliding back to platforming with boss fights somewhere in the mix. Most of the platforming levels do require abilities that are not acquired until late into the game, which means to 100%ing a level early on may not be possible most of the time, unless abusing some in-game mechanics. Also, I will be referring to tasks as challenges since I think it fits the description a bit better, but that's just a personal opinion. They are still called tasks in the game. The first level acts as a tutorial in teaching you how to double jump, break boxes to get some dumbbells, hit buttons, and use obscure abilities such as wall jumping and tongue riding to get used to the controls, in addition to getting used to the movement of SpongeBob the character itself. Afterwards, it throws you into another platforming level, this time taking place in Goofy Goober establishment itself, with Patrick taking over as a playable character. This is where the game introduces learning new abilities required to progress, in which a certain amount of Goofy Goober tokens are required. As a result, a second Goofy Goober token can be acquired in 2 ways as presented in the intersection of pathways the clamshell was located at. One can be earned through Mortal Kombat using SpongeBob, and the other can be unlocked by just hitting a bunch of walls in a path and then jumping on some trampolines. Of course, the more fun but longer challenge will be battling out waves of enemies spawning on the floating patch of land, rather than breaking through a bunch of walls. Either way, Patrick can then earn his new ability and begin cartwheeling forever. First driving level comes around and is easy to beat since it acts as a ground on getting used to the feel of the paddy wagon, the use of turbos, and obstacles that may or may not be easy to dodge. Of course, there are Krabby Patties laying around in case too much damage is taken to prevent the car from breaking down. While the game continues on, each driving level does have more than 1 token that can be obtained. However, it is always the same 3 challenges. The second token requires being a level under a set time. The third token is a hoop challenge where the vehicle has to go through some yellow circles or else the level ends early, with the circles becoming red and fading away once the time to go through them is almost up. The last token is another variant of being level under a set time, however it is much more strict on how many mistakes can be made before the challenge is considered to be over. Driving levels can be fun if thought of as a speedrun, and how tight you can make turns and properly make use of turbos to get to the end as fast as possible. An exception to at least the first token would be in Sunday Driving, where the main objective will be to follow a Goofy Goober looking fellow around the track and not to get too far away from him, as that will end the level as a loss and have to restart the chase all over again. It is also seemingly impossible to get in front of Goofy Goober, as he is programmed to always be ahead of the wagon no matter what. There are also sliding levels where instead of a Krabby Patty vehicle, it ranges from a bathtub to a clamshell to even the Royal Crown, and there is no turbos or acceleration with the buttons, but instead heavily relies on momentum carried throughout the track. Braking does involve pulling back on the joystick. Jumping may lose significant momentum depending how deep of a jump has to be made. The sliding levels do have the same token challenge with the driving ones with the rings and 2 time challenges. There are harder sliding levels than others of course,